from the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, the I.S.U.P.K. on Kinetic GEN.YAHANNA, from 125th Street, Harlem, New York. If you're not in the U.P.K., you are not in the truth. All right, now, I've been hearing a lot of people saying, y'all guys teaching the gospel. What is the gospel? Is the gospel about you getting some money? Is that what the gospel of Christ is about? Abraham knew the gospel of Christ. We're going to find out what the gospel of Christ is today. And it's not no spiritual Israel and everybody can be a part of it. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 11. I'll start at verse 10. You're going to find, we finna go into this right after the time of Noah. You had the descendants, which was Japheth, Ham, and Shem. All right, when we get to Genesis chapter 11, we're going to the history of Shem, from which Abraham descended from. Read.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10.
Salaki.
Mic over, I got this on. Oh, you don't want to use it? No.
Come, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10. These are the generations of Shem.
Stop right there. All right, now, this whole chapter finna go into the generations of Shem. Now, go down to verse 27.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 27. Now, these are the generations of Terah. Terah begat Abram.
Abram, before his name was changed to Abraham, his father is Terah. Keep reading.
Salaki. Terah begat Abram, Nahor, and Haran. And Haran begat Lot.
All right. Now, right here we're going through the descendants or genealogy of Shem, in which we get to Abraham. Now, what the point for that is to illustrate that while there's a lot of people want to be paying Africans are the descendant of Ham. They had no matter what their color is or how they look on the outside, they are not of the same seed. It's two different families. All right, we want to illustrate that. Now go to verse 30.
Genesis chapter 11, verse 30. But Sarah was barren. She had no child.
Who is Sarah? That's Abraham's wife. They have no children. Now go to chapter 12, verse 1.
Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Now the Lord had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will shew thee.
Verse 2.
Verse 2. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing.
Now right here the Most High said, I'm going to make you a great nation, but his wife is barren and cannot have children. This is the promise of Abraham. Meaning, the promise of Abraham or what's going on don't come from men or what men want to do, because she can't even have children according to the flesh. But the Most High, for to choose Abraham, gave him the promise. This is the gospel. This is the faith of Abraham. Abraham believed against all hope when he had no children that the Most High could make him a great nation.
Right.
Told him to leave his father's house, his kindred. Meaning, he's from the line of Shem, but the Most High finna take Abraham's house and make a whole kingdom out of him. He finna separate him. In other words, Abraham finna be made holy. He finna be separate from his father's house and everybody else. Now, give me Matthew 1 through 2. We want to see something because this is the same line that Christ came out of. While Christians telling you it's a spiritual Israel, the Bible got a different format going on. Literal people on earth having kids, having babies. The Most High created this nation.
Right.
Read.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 1. The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham.
Stop right there. This is the same Abraham that at the time in Genesis, his wife was barren and couldn't have children. The promise came to Abraham. Now, the promise or the seed or the bloodline come all the way down to Christ. It is no such thing as a spiritual mystic Israel where everybody can be a part of it. You literally got to be born in this world a part of this. The Most High got to choose you, in other words. Keep reading.
Matthew chapter 1 verse 2. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas, and his brethren. Good,
come. If you can find the story of when Abraham was trying to have Isaac. Now, as he looked for that, we're going to go to John, 1 John 1 and 13.
Come on.
Because they would have you believe that, oh, when you talk about, I'm an Israelite and God come in the same black, Hispanic, Native American, they'll tell you something like, God don't deal with the flesh. God dealing with the spirit. That sounds good. If you don't know what's going on, read. Go ahead. Well, give me the gospel. Give me second. Is that 1 John? Give me 2 John 1 and 13. It might be in the gospel. Is that the gospel?
You want 2 John or St. John? Gospel.
No, try St. John. All right, but they'll have you believe that this is something you can join like a religion. You know what I'm saying? This is not a religion. This is a literal people.
Right.
That's the whole purpose of them recording the history of who had what. The genealogy. Christ comes from that genealogy. I mean, if he didn't come from the seed of David, he couldn't be the king. You got that?
Yes.
Read.
Genesis 21, verse 5. Abraham was 100 years old. Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born unto him.
Abraham was 100 years old when his son was born unto him. And the conditions around that birth is that the Most High made that promise. And at first she knew she would bear it, so she gave him another concubine, who is the mother of Ishmael, Hagar, the slave woman, trying to bring the prophecy about through their understanding. Most High didn't accept that. He said, that's not how we're going to do it. The promise come by the will of God.
Right.
Israel in its fleshly body is a spiritual nation.
That's right.
When you read, we are the spiritual nation on earth, because we didn't come about by the will of men. We come about by the power of the Most High God.
Right.
And now this nation exists on earth. That's what's going on. All right. Now, did you find that?
Come on.
Read.
This is the epistle of St. John. St. John chapter 1 verse 13. Which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. Verse 14. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us.
Now right there we understand they talk about Christ as the seed, in which was not born according to the will of man or according to the flesh. Do that mean he wasn't in a fleshly body when he came into this earth? That means that against all odds that was going on of the flesh, the Most High brought that into existence. How did the Most High bring that Abraham and the promise into existence? Did the Holy Spirit come on Sarah and she had a baby? That is not what happened. You can't have a baby without the seed of the man. Right. That's why it's a promise made to Abraham. That's why Christ comes from the seed of David. Abraham had sex with his wife and she conceived. Same way Joseph had sex with his wife and she conceived. Right. Plain. There's no such thing as the Holy Spirit coming on a woman and she having a baby. That is crazy. That's the Christian doctrine. They'll have you believing in fairy tales out here. And then, I'm talking about they train your mind to accept these fairy tales. Right. Meaning they train your mind to accept Christmas. They train your mind to accept Easter. They train your mind to accept all these things because they literally trying to raise your mind up to believe they lie. Once you start operating in the way of America, you're operating under a lie. Like Thanksgiving finna come up. If you black, Hispanic, Native American, I don't understand why you keeping Thanksgiving. Other than that, you worship white people.
Right.
It ain't got nothing to do with you. They murdered these people for this land, and you gonna be a participant in celebrating with the murderers? They make you a wicked person.
Right.
If you can't discern or tell the difference between right and wrong, then you're a wicked person also. And that's not because I'm not judging you. I'm saying you're a wicked person because you believe in a wicked person. You believe in a white man. You can't help but to be wicked. Now the point we trying to bring out in this lesson is that the natural reality in the Bible, that they're dealing with literal people. He chose a literal man and his descendants was given a promise. That's what we trying to illustrate right here. Now let's go to Romans 11, 1 through 5. These people have been lying. These people have made a story like, they done took the culture of these people, the way they live, and made it a worldwide religion. That's how much influence the nation of Israel had on the world and when they was keeping the law, keeping the rules of the Most High God. The Most High blessed them to have a major impression on this world. They now, in your sin, in your downtrodden state, they done took your culture and made it a worldwide religion. And tell you the Gentile.
Right.
White man is the devil, the Bible speaks of.
That's right.
The devil means deceiver. He is the liar. He deceived the whole world. Read.
Romans chapter 11, verse 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people?
Has God cast away his people? These same literal people that he promised Abraham he gonna make a great nation. They ain't got nothing to do with some spiritual mystic Christian spirituality. It got nothing to do with that. Keep reading.
God forbid, for I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
Now anything about that mystic and Christian, or spirituality like they like to say, he's a literal Israelite from the seed of a man, from the tribe of Benjamin. Ain't got nothing to do with no spiritual Israel. These are literal people with a literal bloodline. The scriptures say life is in the blood. Don't let these people tell you that, oh, they're not all bad white people. Who said it was? That's not the argument we make if it's some good white people out there. God dealing with whole nations. It was some good Israelites. They went into slavery like everybody else. It was some Israelites on the slave boats who did not break the law. But if the Most High dealing with the whole nation, he judging the whole nation, good and bad. Keep reading.
Romans chapter 11, verse 2. God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. What? Ye not what the scripture saith of Elias.
Now, he finna tell you what Elijah said to the Most High. Elijah came to the Most High and prayed against the people as a prophet in righteousness. But guess what the Most High said? Keep reading.
How he maketh intercession to God against Israel.
So he made intercession to God against Israel. Keep reading.
Saying, verse 3, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. Verse 4. But what saith the answer of God?
Now, he made the argument against Israel. Now, let's see what the Most High answered. Keep reading.
I have reserved to myself 7,000 men.
7,000 spirituality people. He say 7,000 men, literal men. Keep reading.
Who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal.
Who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Meaning they not in no false religion. The 7,000 men left in the literal nation of Israel who have not worshipped a foreign god. Just like it is right now today in the UPK. The image. It's men in the UPK who have not bowed the image to the white Jesus.
Right.
Today that's Baal. Baal is not the name of a religion. That's the name of any false god. That's what Baal is. Understand that in all faith religion, they got the same format. They got images. They got pictures of this and pictures of that. They got, we can go and give me Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3 through 5. I'm saying it because the things that you're seeing today are not new. They had false religions coming against the children of Israel then. They had Israelites worshiping in false religions. That's why the Most High sent the prophet. And the prophet was like, he was ready to give up. He made intercession to the Most High against Israel. But the Most High said, I got reserved 7,000 men who have not bowed their knee to Baal. That's a idol, a false religion. Read.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth the tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workmen, with the axe. Verse 4. They deck it with silver and with gold. Now,
my question is, do that sound familiar? At Christmas, they get the little silver and gold strip and they decorate that tree. Most High told us not to learn the ways of the heathens. And now, the people who introduced you to that, they are the heathens. Right. White people introduced black people to Christmas. And they introduced the whole world to it. They are the heathens. And just like in that time, it's the same way today. The Most High finna reserve for him some men who will not bow the knee to Baal. Right. Give me Revelation chapter 7. Verse 1. Again, it's not dealing with no spiritual mystic talk that the Christians got. They're dealing with literal people. And you're going to find out that them 7,000 men or these men that the Most High reserving, they got a different spirit than the rest of these people in Israel. We're going to find out what type of spirit they got. Read.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 1.
Skip down to verse 4.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 4. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
These must be spiritual Israelites. Keep reading.
Verse 5. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000.
All right, now, if we go all the way down, we're going to find 12,000, all literally from the different tribes. It don't say nothing about spiritual Israel yet. But Israel is a spiritual nation. Why? Because Israel came into existence not by the will of man, but by the power of God, meaning literal people. God ordained these nations. You see the blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. The only reason why you're still on earth, because the Most High has reserved you. That's it. You supposed to be wiped out right now. If it wasn't for Christ dying for Israel, giving Israel that opportunity, we wouldn't even be on this earth right now. The whole thing is the Most High wanted to destroy or discipline, punish for breaking the covenant. Christ died that we may have forgiveness of sins. Meaning, I don't think a lot of Israelites really don't understand the magnitude of what Christ did. Under the law, you had sacrifices, life for a life. That's where the sacrifice came in.
Right.
The blood. All right. Now, if Most High did away with the sacrifice, there is no more forgiveness for sin for Israel. It's over with. When Christ comes into the world, he gives you the opportunity through him to be saved. Read, reader.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Verse 7.
That's good, that's good. Now the point for that is, again, the Most High chose the descendants of Abraham. If it wasn't for Most High, the scripture says you would be consumed. Thank the Most High for his love. that
Right.
He gave us in the face of Christ.
That's right.
All right, now, again, let's go back to, we read in Revelation, right? Again, we seeing that the Most High done reserved some men called the 144,000 that He done chose. Now, let's go back to that Romans chapter 11. I don't think we finished that whole 5 verses yet. And we're going to start at verse 3.
Romans chapter 11, verse 3. Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone.
Again, during this time, they had killed the prophets. What happened during the time of Christ? They killed John the Baptist. They killed Christ. Again, that's the narrative in His word. They killed Christ. What happened to the apostles? If you join in this thing, you're finna get rich and famous, you is out your mind. Christ said, what they did, if they killed the man, hated the master of the house, how much more they gonna do to you?
Right.
If you think you finna get in here and everything finna be great, you ain't finna have no problem, you is out your mind. That's not what's happening. Brother brung out in the teaching not too long ago, all those who want to live a godly life will suffer persecution.
Right.
You ready for that? A lot of, like, you meet your friends, you tell them about what you're doing, the first thing they gonna talk about is, well, you're gonna get killed. That's what's supposed to happen.
That's right.
If you're doing this work, that's what's supposed to happen. You're not greater than the master of the house.
Right.
He did this work and was murdered. Guess who did it? A man that walked on the side of him every day betrayed him.
Right.
The Sadducees and the Pharisees were from Israel. You better get ready for the enemy be those of your own house.
Right.
They in these Christian churches thinking they a spiritual Israel and they finna join everybody together. I guess spiritual Israel gonna have a Chinese man on the side of you eating dogs. You gonna have a white man eating crab, shrimp, lobster, and pork. You gonna have an East Indian man eating boiled mouse. That's not what's finna happen. You're not finna get together with the whole world. The Most High finna call His nation out of the world.
Right.
Meaning, whatever going on in this world, hey man, you need to understand that it has nothing to do with you. The Most High ain't trying to save everybody. He got a group that He done selected. And they in His bloodline, because life is in the blood. They are the descendants of Abraham, literally. You can't just force yourself on the Most High. If you can't find a scripture from when it says, since the days of John the Baptist, the kingdom of heaven has suffered violence. Now read them. Keep reading in Romans.
This is Romans chapter 11, verse 3. And they seek my life, verse 4. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Verse 5. Even so then, at this present time, also there is a remnant according to the election of grace.
All right, good. Now, the Most High say He got a remnant of people who have not fell into what the world got going on, and they are part of this election according to the grace.
Right.
Now, if somebody elect you, meaning you ain't got no choice if I choose you. The Most High ain't nobody. Most High, you can't come just volunteer to serve the Most High. Most High got an election going on. He looked at the whole earth and He chose Abraham. He chose his descendants. He looked at all the nations of the world and He chose Israel. He looked at all the people on the earth and He chose the poor.
Right.
He chose those who mourn.
Right.
Now, who is the poor? Who is those who mourn? You got that? Read.
The book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 12. And from the days of John the Baptist until the kingdom of heaven suffered violence, and the violence taken by force.
Now, they say the violent that took the kingdom of heaven by force. What is the kingdom then? Is it in the sky somewhere? Is the kingdom of heaven something, la la land in the sky. Because the violence done took it by force. How did the violence take the kingdom by force? The earth is the kingdom.
That's right.
The whole earth is the dominion. Meaning, when the Egyptians was over the dominion, they had their gods and they worshiped their way. Then the Persians came. I got you. The Persians came and they worshiped and ran the whole earth under their dominion. Then the Greeks, then the Romans, all the way up to today. The white man is in his dominion. The last days of his dominion. How did they get the dominion? How did they make everybody Christians? They was in the dark ages. Wasn't nothing going on in Europe as far as white people. They didn't know how to take baths or nothing. How did they get the dominion then? You don't understand that during the Crusades, they done ran through the whole continent of Africa and destroyed all of the schools, all the libraries. They done killed all the teachers. So now, when they come out of the Dark Ages and the Renaissance, they got all the knowledge. Everybody else in the Dark Age now. They done went and killed all the teachers in Africa and the Middle East during the Crusades. Burned down whole cities, the libraries, and everything. So now, they coming up with the world is round. Like, we ain't been knowing that thousands of years now.
Right.
They thought the world was flat until Christopher Columbus. These people is dumb as hell. They think the beginning of the day and the middle of the night. They think the new year in winter where everything died. These people are backwards, upside down. Read.
This is Revelations chapter 5, verse 10. And has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth.
Understand that. It's not no la la land in the sky. This kingdom will be on the earth.
Right.
With literal people from a literal bloodline. For example, Christ is from the seed of David.
That's right.
Give me Amos, chapter 3, I want to say 3 and 3. You're going to find out the Most High ain't dealing with everybody. You're just in a punishment right now. We're going to find out that the Most High, the chosen group of people, to give them the law. When he give you that law, he raising you out the dust.
Right.
Just like this scripture said right now, even at the present time, the Most High done reserved a group. A lot of people wonder why all Israel don't see this. It seems so simple. You're going to find out that the Most High didn't choose them right now. Not to say they destined to a burning hellfire, but the Most High didn't choose them at this particular point. Read.
This is Amos chapter 3, verse 2. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Verse 3.
Be good. Now, again, these are the descendants of Abraham. Most High tell you the only people on the whole face of the earth that I don't know. Therefore, I'm going to punish you. Now, go to Romans 1, 7 through 8. I mean, in chapter 11, verses 7 and 8. Because even within the nation, as you can see during the days of Christ, the whole nation didn't follow Christ. Some people followed the Sadducees, the Pharisees. Only the true believers of the Most High followed Christ, because they understood, or Christ made understood. Christ made known the scriptures of the Old Testament that prophesied about him. Like when he asked them, "Who do you think I am?" They said Christ. Why? Because they understood the prophecies. The Sadducees, the Pharisees didn't understand the prophecy of Christ coming the first time. Why? Because the Most High had blinded them. Read.
Romans chapter 11, verse 7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
Read that again. The elect was the people who obtained the knowledge, the begging to understand. The rest of Israel has been blinded. Read that again.
Romans chapter 11, verse 7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Verse 8, according as it is written, God hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day.
Now give me Isaiah 6 and 9, because we're going to go to the part back in the scriptures and see where it's written in the Old Testament. Because a lot of people tend to think that the Old Testament, New Testament ain't the same. When Christ was walking, what did Christ teach out of? The Old Testament. So you can't understand the New Testament if you ain't got no knowledge of the Old Testament.
Right.
So when a Christian tell you, oh, the Old Testament done away, you ain't got to read that, that's a lie. That's why he can make up all these old nonsense about you dying, going to La La Land in the sky. Because without the Old Testament, you really ain't got no understanding of what the kingdom of heaven really is. That's why they keep you in the New Testament, tell you the kingdom of heaven is some fairy tale place in the sky. You're going to find out that the kingdom of heaven is a place to be established on earth. Let thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. All right, we'll go to Revelation 5 and 10. Hold that just for the sake of pulling that out. That heaven is a place, the kingdom of heaven is a literal kingdom by literal people on earth. Not no magical fairy tale genie place. Read.
This is Revelation chapter 5, verse 10. And has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Verse 11.
That's good, that's good. Now go back to that Isaiah chapter 6, verse 9 through 10. Christians want you to thank God trying to save everybody. Most High ain't trying to save everybody right now. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 6, verse 9. And he said, go and tell this people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive it not. Verse 10. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert and be healed.
Most High say, give them eyes where they can't see, ears where they can't hear. Because if you don't, they will hear, see, and be healed. Why are you doing them like that? Give me the 2 Thessalonians. When you talk about you gonna see them a strong delusion, I want to say 2 and 11. You got it? Read.
This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie.
Read verse 12.
Verse 12. That they all might be damned, who believeth not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness.
The Most High finna close their eyes and their ears because they believe not the truth. They got pleasure in this unrighteousness. Meaning, the white man tell you you can date. I mean, you can have sex, all the sex you want, tell marriage. Tell they, not real marriage, the marriage he got married where you get a ring and you go before preaching and they pronounce your husband and wife. That ain't what the Most High say. Now, if you got pleasure in this place, you a dating person. You want to go on a date tonight. It's cool. But if you in the truth, you know, if you lay with a man or a man lay with a woman, that is marriage.
Right.
That's the whole concept of marriage. She supposed to be a virgin, or we using virgin in the sense we use it today. A woman that haven't had sex, or a man who's supposed to haven't had sex, and they supposed to get together and you get married. The first thing you do when you get married is what? Have sex.
Right.
All right? Now, just to illustrate this one point, give me Matthew 1 and 19. Because they'll have you thinking, I just want to go here because we're talking about this. Read.
This is Matthew chapter 1, verse 19. Then Joseph, her husband.
Her what?
Her husband. husband,
Keep reading.
being a just man, and not willing to make her a public example.
Now, were they married already before he thought about putting her away? Yes. Meaning, what you mean they were married? They had sex already. He her husband.
Right.
Anybody tell you that Christ is come from a virgin, Mary, and all that? That's garbage.
Right.
That ain't what the Bible teaches. Now, if you go up a little farther than that, we ain't gonna even get into that. But it said in plain language that Joseph was the father of Christ.
Right.
Matter of fact, just for the sake of the argument, go to Matthew when they go into the genealogy. When they get to the birth of Christ, it's in chapter 1. You got it? Read.
Can we start from the top?
Nah, just get to the point where they talk about Joseph begat Christ.
Come on.
Give me verse 16, 1 and 16.
Matthew chapter 1, verse 16. And Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. Verse 17.
That's enough right there. Just to show you, they don't say the Holy Spirit is Christ's father. Say Joseph and Mary had a baby and Christ came. Nothing about the Holy Spirit. Salaki for getting off into that, but we finna get back into our lesson. Give me Acts chapter 7, verse 51 through 53. Why? Because we finna find out that the people who don't believe in the Most High or want to be sent a strong delusion, they're going to be damned, in other words. And those who the Most High preserving right now, they called, they are chosen, they are predestined. Most High has specifically chosen a group. Read.
This is Acts chapter 7, verse 51. Ye stiff-necked and uncircumcised in heart and ears, ye do always resist the Holy Ghost. As your fathers did, so do ye. Verse 52. Which of the prophets have not your fathers persecuted? And they have slain them which shewed before of the coming of the just one, of whom ye have not, Salakia, of whom ye have been now the betrayers and murderers. Verse 53. Who have received the law by the disposition of angels, and have not kept it. Verse 54.
Oh, you good. Now right here, this is Stephen. I pulled this out for two reasons. For one, he talking to Israelites because the angel gave them, the Most High gave them the law through the angel in the law in which they did not keep. He's not talking to Romans in Rome. He's talking to Israelites who live in Rome. All right?
Right.
Now, Stephen at the time, and when we get into that, we're going to find out that they stoned and murdered Stephen. What gospel was Stephen's preaching? Go to chapter 7, verse 1. You're going to find out that even from Matthew, Luke, John, you can go all the way through the Bible, and guess what gospel in their mouth? The promise of Abraham. They break down the whole genealogy and history of the Exodus, Moses, all the way down to Christ. What gospel is they preaching? They preaching about the nation of Israel. And if the people, the prophets in this Bible, they are for the promotion of the Most High and His nation. Meaning, they put everything on the line to preserve the nation. Read.
This is Acts chapter 7, verse 1. Then said the high priest, Are these things so? And he said, Men, brethren, and fathers, hearken. The God of glory appeared unto our father Abraham.
Unto our father Abraham. Now, UPK, when we tell you you're descended from Israel, who is the son of Isaac, who is the son of Abraham, this is the gospel. It ain't preached to the Gentiles. The gospel is for the house of Israel. Keep reading.
When he was in Mesopotamia, before he dwelt in Haran. Verse 3, and said unto him, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and come into the land which I shall shew thee. Verse 4. Then came he out of the land of the Chaldeans, and dwelt in Haran. And from thence, when his father was dead, he removed him into this land, wherein ye now dwell.
Now, what land was they dwelling in Acts when Stephen is talking to them? They in the land of Canaan. They in Jerusalem. These Israelites. This is the gospel. The gospel ain't got nothing to do with no spirituality or everybody can be saved. It's a gospel to a particular people. And the whole gospel is that Abraham get the promised land if you keep the law, the covenant. Give me Revelation chapter 7. I want to say verse 7. When he say, and then he saw after the 144,000, he saw a great multitude. A great multitude coming from all nations, all tongues, all languages.
You want verse 9?
Read.
This is Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands, and cried with a loud voice, saying, Salvation to our God, which sitteth upon the throne, and unto the Lamb. Verse 11. And all the angels stood round about the throne, and about the elders, and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces, and worshiped God.
Now, right here, the Christian teaching is that they talking about everybody, come from all lands, all different tribes, all the different places. But when we go to Joel 3 and 7, we gonna see this gonna give us a better understanding of who he talking about that's coming out of these places. When you get that, read that. Because the gospel is only dealing with the descendants of Abraham that came through Isaac and Jacob. That's the gospel. That if you keep the law, that you submit to the rulership of Christ, that you're going to be able to get out of the curses of the law. That you're going to be brought back into your own land. It ain't got nothing to do with no mystic Christian theory in the sky. Keep reading.
This is Joel chapter 3, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them.
All right. Now the question is, who was sold? Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28:68. He said he's going to raise them out of places in which you sold them. Now Christ said he came to fulfill the law and the prophets. Meaning from the time of Christ to right now, name me a group of people who have been sold. It's plain and simple. Read.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again.
It's like, now, how did the Most High speak to them? When they came out of Egypt, he spoke to them in the wilderness, going into the land of Canaan, which became known as Judea or Israel.
Right.
All right? He said that place you ain't going to see no more again. Keep reading.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
Now, let's go back. Now, we understand that Israel going to be sold unto their enemies. Let's go back to Joel 3 and 7.
Joel chapter 3, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them.
Start right there. Now let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 29. Most High even in the scriptures, he promised to bring you back from all the nations in which you were scattered to. And the reason for that, because he's showing that in Revelation, when he's talking about bringing people back from all different nations, he's talking about Israel. So The point we doing is trying to show you in the scripture that Israel gonna be scattered. And that's just for the sake to be able to concretely go through the scriptures and show a person, hey, the Most High ain't talking about anybody. You got a question? Go ahead.
If you can explain your take on Revelations 9 and 7 and 9, I believe, right after the tribes, the 144 tribes.
That's what we're talking about now. The great multitude that came from all over. Read that again. 7 and 9. Revelation 7 and 9. Hold what you got though.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands. Verse 10. That's
good right there. So what we trying to show you that these people coming from all over the earth, right? Now we going into the history to show you that Israel was spreading out into all the earth. Okay? So we gonna prove that the Most High gonna gather his people from all nations. So when you read Revelation 7 and 9, we gonna prove out the scriptures of who that group of people from everywhere is. Who are they? All right. So we're gonna go Deuteronomy chapter 30. Let me see if that's in chapter 30. All right, I'm trying to find a particular scripture. Give me 1 second. If you can, look for when he say, he gonna gather, it's in Deuteronomy, I want to say chapter 30. Let me read it. Read chapter 30, verse 1 and 2.
Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse.
Now, it should come to pass after all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse. We just read Deuteronomy 28:6. That part of the curses is that you go into slavery by ship. Right. All right? So after this happened, after you in slavery by ship, you've been dispersed among the nations. Just to prove, hold that right there. Just to prove the captivity that Israel going into all that. We coming right back. Give me Luke 21:24. This is what Christ said.
Luke chapter 21, verse 24. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword.
The they is Israel or Jews. Keep reading.
And shall be led away captive into all nations.
They're going to be led away captive into all nations. How did Israel go into captive into all nations? By ship. Keep reading.
And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled.
So they going to slavery, they going into captivity to all nations, and the Gentiles going to be in the Holy Land. All right? That means from AD 70 all the way to right now, it ain't been nobody but heathens in the Holy Land. All right? Now let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 30.
Verse 2. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse.
Read one, which I have said before thee, after the curse and the blessing.
Come. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 1. All these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse, which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations.
Among what?
Among all the nations.
That's what it is. Israel going to be among all the nations. Keep reading.
Whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee. Verse 2. And shalt return unto the Lord thy God, and shalt obey his voice, according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart, and with all thy soul. Verse 3. That then the Lord thy God will turn thy captivity, and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations.
Now read Revelation 7:9.
Okay.
Revelation 7:9 is the prophecy of the return. After he picked 144,000, then he gonna gather everybody. First he gathered leaders. That's why he said, happy is those who got a part in the first resurrection. The body of Christ, or what they call the church, they all finna be the leaders and rulers with Christ. Read.
Revelation chapter 7, verse 9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations, and kindreds, and people, and tongues, stood before the throne, and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, and palms in their hands.
All right, now let's go back to Joel 3, chapter 7. Because that scripture, Joel, he telling you that he finna raise them out of the places in which you sold them. That's the beginning part of it. It's to wake you up, bring your identity back. Again, the gospel ain't to everybody. The gospel is by Abraham and his seed. Right. That seed ultimately being Christ, in which the whole nation can be saved. Read.
Joel chapter 3, verse 7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets. Verse 8. The lion hath roared.
Read that again. And tell me what book and chapter you're in. Read it again.
No, I'm not.
I need you to read it again.
Amos. I read the wrong verse.
Okay.
Amos chapter 3, verse 7. Surely the Lord God will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants, the prophets.
That's why I recorded to you. The Most High done told you the ending in the beginning. He done revealed it to his prophets in this book. And what we going through, that's why I thank the I.S.U.P.K, the Commander General, YAHANNA, all the generals and captains, because they are our teachers. They done taught us how to understand the book. Because if you could read it and understand by yourself, you will already have the knowledge. Right. Now I'll give you Joel chapter 7. Joel, it's chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 7.
Joel chapter 3, verse 7. Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. Verse 8. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah.
Now that has not happened in his present time. So it's a prophecy. He's going to raise us up out of places in which we were sold. Meaning we were sold in South America. We were sold in London, to England. We were sold over there to the Earls. We were sold all over the earth, all through South America. Now, the Most High say he's going to raise you out of that place. Now, who is he dealing with, though? He dealing with everybody? He dealing with a particular people who went into captivity and were literally sold. He's not dealing with the person who brought them. He's finna raise up the person who was sold. They say the Bible about everybody. God love everybody. I name you all the people that were sold. From the time of Christ to right now. They say, oh, Chinese was a slave. Chinese in their own land today. You ain't gonna see the land no more again. The Scottish, Irish, they say they were slaves. You ain't gonna see that man no more again.
That's right.
He back in his land right now. He back in his land right now. You the person who been sold ain't never returned home.
That's right.
All right, now. We good. All right, now go to Luke chapter 22, verses 1 through 5.
Come.
Salaki. Go ahead. Good.
Luke chapter 22, verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover. Verse 2. And the chief priests and scribes sought how they might kill him, for they feared the people. Verse 3. Then entered Satan into Judas, surnamed Iscariot, being of the number of the 12. Verse 4. And he went his way and communed with the chief priests and captains, how he might betray him unto them. Verse 5. And they were glad and covenanted to give him money.
All right, now right here, the reason I'm bringing this out, because I want you to find out that all through the scriptures, it's only dealing with Israel. The Romans didn't come specifically and get Christ. It was Israelites who were scheming and plotting to have him murdered. Now, I'm saying it because dealing with what we're dealing with, for the slavery, this is one group of people. It ain't got nothing to do with some mystic bloodline. It ain't got nothing to do with some mystic, Christian, spiritual, everybody getting together. They're dealing with one people. One people. All right? They had Christ killed. Now, I want to get into this part because go to Matthew 22:14. You're going to find out that not everybody within Israel has been chosen. It say those who are the faith of Abraham are descendants of Abraham. What's the faith of Abraham? It ain't the Christian church. Abraham kept the law. He believed God when he said, I'm going to give you this land. Abraham got up and left and he didn't have no kids. He 100 years old. No kids, and he believed God. What you mean? He kept the law also. That's how you please God, by obeying. Right. He kept the law. He knew the law. That's the faith of Abraham. You got Arabs talking about they from the seed of Abraham and that promise pertain to them. But they don't follow the faith of Abraham. They got a whole different faith. Doing whatever their faith consists of. The white man say he's a descendant of Abraham. And he got a whole different faith. Those who are descendants of Abraham, those who are the descendants of Abraham or the faith of Abraham, they ain't got nothing to do with being spiritual. That means keeping worshiping the same God our forefather worship. It ain't got nothing to do with this spiritual Christian talk. Right. So, all right, now read them.
Matthew chapter 22, verse 14. For many are called, but few are chosen. Verse 15. Then went the Pharisees and took counsel, how they might entangle him in his talk. Okay. Same way they do today when they heard his truth. They plot the way you can to slip up and what you might say.
All right. Now he's saying many are called, but few are chosen. So now I need to go to Hebrews 11 and 17. Come on.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17.
Go ahead. Get that microphone. Go ahead, Paratazan.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son.
All right. Now skip down to verse 24. Because now we finna see that what type of man did the man who really have faith, what type of actions did they show that show you that they believe this, that the Most High was giving this promise? Meaning, if the Most High promised you that your descendants gonna rule the earth, all right? How would you take care of your people? How would you take care of, if you were Sarah, how would you take care of that baby or those grandkids? Every move gonna be made to preserve the seed. Every move. Because you believe God. All right, when that nation got big enough where they left out of Egypt and Moses came, and he believed the Most High, just like Abraham did. What type of move was he make to preserve the seed? He'll tell Pharaoh, let my people go so they don't be destroyed in that place. Same way when you get to Christ. Christ gave his whole life that the nation may live. Then the men of the Most High. Keep reading.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 24. By faith, Moses, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter.
He ain't like none of these black Negro successful people in this empire. He not running around talking about he an African American. He not running around talking about he black to be accepted in Pharaoh Empire. Read.
Verse 25. Choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of God than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. Verse 26. Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt.
Did Moses know about Christ coming? Read it again.
Verse 26. Esteeming the reproach of Christ greater riches than the treasures in Egypt.
Yes, he does. He know the seed coming. What seed? The seed that was promised the rule to bring in the kingdom of heaven, to have forgiveness of sins. Moses know this, and I'm talking about hundreds of years before. He fight to preserve that seed so that can happen because he believed God. Give me verse 28.
Come on. Verse 28. Through faith he kept the Passover and the sprinkling of the blood, lest he that destroyeth the firstborn should touch them.
Now, he, talking about Moses, in Egypt, by faith he kept the Passover. Passover is a law. By faith he kept the law. This ain't got nothing to do with this Christian, I feel good, Holy Ghost dancing. Ain't got nothing to do with that. You can't just join it. You got to be born into this earth. You got to be of the bloodline of Israel. That's all it's about. When he say he's a shepherd for the people, he fighting to preserve his seed. Now the question is, how many of these so-called Christian preachers fighting to preserve the seed? They letting our young men die in these streets while they sitting in the building in pretty suits. All right, give me Hebrews 11 and 33.
Come on. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 33. Who through faith subdued kingdoms.
How do they subdue kingdoms? Read it again.
Come on. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 33. Who through faith subdued kingdoms.
Meaning, they didn't have to go to war to get free from the Egyptians, the Persians. They kept faith. And what faith make you do? Keep the law. If you really believe God, you be but keeping that law like Abraham did. Why? Because Abraham believed in the promises. Give me Romans 9 and 4. The promises is only for the seed of Abraham. It ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. It ain't that we preaching some type of hatred. We preaching love exclusively.
That's right.
Give all your love to the Most High. You ain't got no room to even be thinking about how the white man gonna survive in the future. Chinese man or the African. I'm saying that I like bringing out the African because they call themselves black now too. They ain't been black. They been Nigerians, South Africans, Congolese, and all this other stuff. Keep reading.
Romans chapter 9, verse 4. Who are Israelites? To whom?
They Canadians.
Who are Israelites?
They Russians.
Who are Israelites?
They Germans.
Who are Israelites?
He only talking to one group right here. Keep reading.
To whom pertaineth the adoption?
Who pertains the adoption. Keep reading.
And the glory. And the covenants.
Covenants with an S. Old and new. It ain't for nobody else. Keep reading.
And the giving of the law.
And the giving of the law. Law is, the reason why this law is so important, because the law implies authority. You gotta, in order to have a law, you gotta be able to enforce a law. That's why you under grace right now. When Christ comes, he gonna enforce the law. He gonna bring He gonna bring the kingdom back into reality. Right now, we doing it by faith, because we believe the kingdom is coming. So we gonna keep the law and establish and structure our lives around it. Keep reading.
And the service of God, and the promises. Verse 5. Whose are the fathers?
Who are the fathers? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That is the gospel. The gospel ain't got nothing to do with none of this old Christian talk they tell you in church. It's literally about your existence. A group of people and how they gonna exist on the earth. We gonna keep a law. He gave you a land, territory. Law implies government. Christ tell you he the king of the government, under the Most High. What's spiritual about this? The people. Why they spiritual? Because we came into existence by faith, by the will of the Most High God. Abraham was 100 years old.
That's right.
Most High gave him a literal land. Most High gave Israel a literal law. There is a literal government. It ain't nothing. What is the lot I laying at? It don't exist. Now, what is that, Romans? Now, go back to Hebrew 11 and 34.
Hebrews chapter 11, verse 34. Quench the violence of fire. Escape the edge of the sword. Out of weakness were made strong. Wax valiant in fight. Turn to flight the armies of the aliens. Verse 35.
Start at 33 so we can get a good, clear understanding of that right there.
This is Hebrews chapter 11, verse 33. Who through faith subdued kingdoms, wrought righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions. Verse 34. Quench the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword. Out of weakness were made strong. Wax valiant in flight. Turn to flight the armies of the aliens.
These holy men. If you read that real close, it ain't got nothing to do with no spiritual land. Nothing that Christian church talk about what spirituality. This is what the disciples was about. Read Acts 1 and 6. Even they understood this to be a real kingdom, a real nation. The kingdom of heaven is going to be a black man ruling the earth.
That's right.
Now, no, if you don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you. These Christians got you waiting to die. What you going to do when you dead? You waiting your whole life until you die to go to heaven to experience this heaven. When the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. We talking about
right.
a group of people, a family, a group of people. Read.
It's like you said, 1 and 36.
1 and 6. Acts 1 and 6.
Acts chapter 1, verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel?
What? You gonna restore the church? You gonna restore the singing and dancing? What? This is a real kingdom. Read that again. This is what the disciples want to know. When you gonna restore the kingdom?
Acts chapter 1, verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? Verse 7. And he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power.
That's what they, now, give me Revelation. We finna get ready to end this class too. Give me Revelations 13 and 10. Because I want you to let you know that this is real. It ain't like no fairy tale. But like these brothers, you see, I talk to these brothers regularly. These brothers got one thing on their mind. Help build up this kingdom. What do that mean? We want to protect our women. We want to feed our children. We want them to have good, reasonable lives in peace. That's what this is about. Read.
Revelation chapter 13, verse 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity.
We also want justice. Keep reading.
He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword.
Keep reading.
Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. Verse 11.
That's good. This is the faith of the saints. The only way for you to build your kingdom, your enemy's kingdom got to fall.
Right.
Simple as that. We in a spirit by faith, we salute kingdoms. How do we do that? When we get together and take our love out of this place, you're going to see how weak these people is. You're going to start to look at them for the filthy people that they really are. When Christ called them dogs, he was telling the truth. Christ didn't lie. They are the dogs. Got a question?
Salakia.
That's right.
I wanted to ask you about, you mentioned Abraham obeyed the law. But Abraham, my understanding from reading, Abraham came out of Ur. He came out of a paganistic society because they were worshiping everything, right? So I'm trying to understand that. How did you come up with that part? Because before the law, it was faith.
I got you.
Right.
Look up Abraham knew the gospel. I need Hebrews when he paid a tenth to the king
Melchizedek.
All right, because 10% of the tithes is the law. That's part of the law. So in order for him to be able to pay that 10%, meaning he must be conscious of the law.
It's going to be in Genesis.
All right, you're going to prove that Abraham knew the gospel. What is the basics of the gospel?
It's in Genesis.
The law. I have not come to destroy but to fulfill. All right? The law been in existence since Adam. Noah had the law. That's why they was able to be righteous. Noah was a righteous man in his day. The law is righteous. So if Noah don't know the law, how can you consider him righteous?
Right.
Keep going.
Okay, so which laws were you referring to when you say that? Because you say the law, are you talking the law after Moses? And then you said Noah's law. So I'm just trying to get understanding.
Noah don't have a different law. Noah knows the law.
Mm-hmm.
It's only thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, the dietary law.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got cleans and hygiene. You got to have hygiene law for the washing. They actually practiced these things way before Moses came into existence. Moses wasn't getting, Moses brought the law to the nation. But the people themselves, they had been in Egypt sometimes, so just like we in America, we done forgot the law.
Right.
But Moses come from a family who believed the covenant. A covenant is a contract. Read.
This is Genesis chapter 14, verse 20.
Find that Hebrews 4. Keep reading.
And blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thy hand. And he gave him tithes of all.
Oh, now go to Hebrews, we're going to explain it to you. All right, now, again, Abraham gave him 10% of all that he had. To the king. Keep reading that so we get a better understanding.
Verse 21. And the king of Sodom said unto Abram, give me the persons and take the goods to thyself. Verse 22. And Abram said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth.
So, you tell them, now, Abram's father, they worship other gods. The Most High came to Abraham before and told him, well, right after this, so after this, he get done and Lot, Most High promised to give him a land and told him to leave from his father's house. Abraham got knowledge of the Most High God at this point already. And he choosing to believe and obey him. Keep reading.
Verse 23. That I will not take from a thread even to a shoe latchet, and that I will not take anything that is thine, lest thou shouldest say, I have made Abram rich.
All right, let's start right there because he's talking about one of the people that he went to fight for a week. You know what I'm saying? You tell them to return your property back, so you can't say you made me rich. But before they gave a tenth of that, which is the law, 10 to the priest. Did you find that yet? In Hebrews chapter, I want to say, it's in Hebrews. The same little story when they're talking about Abraham going to war with the 5 kings. You got that?
No. Hebrews. Just gonna put in Hebrews. Oh, okay.
Alright, if you can't find that, see if you can pull it up. The gospel was taught to Abraham, or preached to Abraham.
Chapter 7?
Chapter 7.
Alright, 7 and what?
I just
Like
saw
7
it's,
and 1 through 3.
Alright, read that.
Amma, after you answer this,
Now, this king, everybody understand that Melchizedek was a priest under the Most High. As a priest of the Most High, he had the law. Keep reading.
This is Hebrews chapter 7, verse 1. For this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God.
Priest of the Most High God. Implies, if you would like, it's a holy order to be a priest. He under a different order than the Levite priest though. Alright, Christ is under the order of Melchizedek. He both king and a high priest.
Right.
That's that order. So this order of worship or priesthood existed during the days of Abram. The city of Sodom is in ancient time, in modern time, was called Jerusalem. Alright, keep reading.
Priest of the Most High God, who met Abram returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him. Verse 2. To whom also Abraham gave a 10th part of all. First, being by interpretation king of righteousness.
Now, Melchizedek by interpretation means king of righteousness. If you can find the scripture, the law is righteous. So we can understand that he is a person that stands on the law, that he's a high priest of the Most High, and he is being instructed in the law. Abraham gave him a 10. Keep reading.
And after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Verse 3. Without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abideth a priest continually. Verse 4. Now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the 10th of the spoils.
Keep reading.
Verse 5. And verily, they that are of the sons of Levi, who receive the office of the priesthood, have a commandment to take tithes of the people, according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham.
Now, Abraham gave that 10 to the priest, Melchizedek. All right. Now, what they, we can let the scriptures explain. Keep going, because I'm going to tell you.
Verse 6. But he whose descent is not counted, from them received tithes of Abraham, and blessed him that had the promises.
The Levite hadn't came yet. He was in the loins of Abraham. But they tell you it's as if Levi paid that 10% and later received the office of the priesthood through Abraham's loins. So I'm saying that the law was in effect. The law did exist. Read.
Verse 7.
Hold on, slack. Read.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 4. That the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not after the flesh, but after the Spirit. Is that it?
No, thy law is righteous. Now, the point I'm making, again, I'm going to get ready to wrap up. We're after 4 o'clock already. So, I hope I was able to answer your question and show you. Let me just Just for the sake, reading it one more time. All right, that's verse 5. And he said, all right. It's verse 5 when he said that have a commandment to take tithes of the people according to the law, that is, of their brethren, though they come out of the loins of Abraham.
There you go.
And his descendants, his children. Read. Read.
Psalms chapter 119, verse 42. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth.
All right, now, if the law is the truth and it is righteous, the king of Melchizedek, who was the king of righteousness, he was putting forward the law. That's how Abraham knew to come pay him a tenth. I'm saying Abraham had the gospel.
Right.
And the gospel consists of having a law, believing in the law, but all that come into play because Most High finna make you a great nation. How you gonna make you a nation and raise you up to rule the earth without a law?
Right.
Abraham understood that. Just like Moses understood Christ coming from the descendants of Abraham. The whole goal was to preserve the nation. That's what the prophets and mighty men, their whole mind state was to protect the nation, preserve the nation. Make sure you stay, and the only way to do that was to teach them the law. The law is what raised a nation out the dust. You know, but I'm finna we over the time already. So next week, if you got any questions, bring them with you and we can get right into it. All right, now I want to say, I'm from the I.S.U.P.K, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. I'm Commander General Yohanna from 125th Street, Harlem, New York. And if you're not in the I.S.U.P.K, you're not in the truth. Shalom.